Interview with the book author of The Man Called Brown Condor, The Forgotten History of an African-American Fighter Pilot by Mr. Thomas E. Simmons.
It was a dream come true for Gulfport author Tom Simmons when he traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia this month. Simmons had spent years working on his book, The Man Called Brown Condor, the forgotten true story of an American war hero, John C. Robinson. But he had never visited the country in Africa where most of this story took place until now. And Tom Simmons joins us now with more. And Tom, this is so exciting. I know this must have been a dream come true for you when you were actually approached by some of the people in Addis Ababa about coming over and sharing your story.
It was right out of the blue. It was very surprised me. You know, John Robinson grew up here in Gulfport, but those people, his story had been forgotten here and somewhat there, and they were celebrating a memorial for him and asked me if I would come to Ethiopia and speak to the
and that's great. And of course, John Robinson, the commander of the Imperial Ethiopian Air Corps, and that was during a time when there weren't black pilots.
There weren't many, and he had that dream. It was impossible for him to accomplish that, but with hard work and the ability that he had and his determination, he was so good when he finally got into Curtis Wright School. They kept him as an instructor. And then Haile Selassie heard about him, and Italy was going to invade Ethiopia. And the emperor asked John if he would come help them. It had to have been a tough decision, but it was exciting for me to go there. The ex-president and the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines, which
That's right.
John
And let's
Robinson,
take a look at some of these pictures, too, as we're talking
John
about
Robinson
this visit.
started Ethiopian Airlines in 1945, and you can see they're flying their latest equipment now, beautiful Boeing 787. I'll put their airline against any in the country.
And of course,
service.
the people who invited you, they paid for your trip. This is the gentleman that you spent a lot of time with there.
That's the former president of Ethiopia, and his name is Germa Wolde Giernis. The Ethiopian language is very difficult. They have 135 letters where we have 26.
Yes, it is. And you know, I lived in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa as a child, so this is really fascinating to me. Now, here's the party. This looks like quite a party for you,
That
Tom.
was at his retirement home, and there were 100 people there, and that's what the main talk. They asked me to come meet those people. Your father, who had been there, asked me while I was there, could I look up an old friend of his? And I gave them the name, and I said, you know, Colonel Abernathy would really like to reconnect with this man. And they said, well, he's standing right over there.
Small world. That was an amazing
world.
story, and my dad has since contacted him, and they had a great phone conversation, and they reconnected after, you know, 40 years or so.
Part of your growing up was in Ethiopia. Wonderful country, wonderful people. They're polite, they're hospitable. They're polite to the point of being shy. But their language is Amharic. That's the language of Ethiopia. And they say that's as close to the language that Jesus spoke.
Well, I'm really glad you had this opportunity, and I'm sorry we don't have more time because we have more pictures. We're going to have to do this again, Tom. We'll have to sit down again.
Anytime you want to, Karen.
And talk more. And let me know when you have a book signing for this, too. And people can find your book where?
Amazon or on my website or
it's great.
Barnes & Noble, any bookstore. It's carried all over.
Okay.
And it's doing well. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Tom.